Difference. Today we are covering MoxiPresent 101. So Moxie is our CMA tool, our competitive market analysis tool, but it's much more than that. Not only do we have seller presentations, but we also have buyer presentations and non-listing presentations as well that we can utilize this platform for newsletters or other communication with our sphere of influence. And not only is it completely connected to your local MLS, so all of your comparables, the listings, the solds, the expireds, those all come over for you. Plus all the content that the Schmidt Marketing Group adds to our blue books and our black books for our listing presentations also is loaded in this product, along with content brought to us from our Coldwell Banker brand. So a lot of different content is already preloaded for you guys in MoxiPresent. So we'll go ahead and just jump right in. If you have any questions for me, feel free to unmute and ask or type them in the chat box, and I'll be sure that I keep that open and on my screen so that I can see those. So you should be seeing my screen now. If somebody can give me a thumbs up or let me know. Good. Okay, great. Thank you. Okay, so we got into Moxie, and this is the Present platform. So as you can see up at the top, you have your options. You have your single sign-on option with Hub. You have Present, which is what we're talking about today with our CMA, our competitive market analysis, and buyer presentations. And then you have Engage, which is our client relationship management tool. And then this is how you can get to your websites, our company-wide directory, and then an opportunity, if you choose to promote your listings with the Promote tab. Excuse me, with the Promote tab. So first I'm going to show you your account because we want to make sure that your headshot, your contact information, and your bio are correct because that does feed the presentations that you create in Present. So to be able to do that, you click on your headshot in the upper right. If you haven't had a headshot loaded yet, you'll just see your initial right there. And then as soon as that drops down, you want to click My Account. This will load your account so that you can update those things that will feed Present. So if you want to change your headshot or if you need to add a headshot, you click on the camera there. If you need to change your contact information, you can do so by clicking the pencil here. This will allow you to edit these three things: your personal info, your contact info, including your email addresses and your phone number, and your web info. So the great thing about putting your bio here is it does feed your website, your consumer-facing website, but it also feeds your information into Present so that your agent bio will be part of these presentations that you are creating. So you will want to make sure that that content is correct. If you want to add more content, you can click Add Info and it'll give you an additional text box here. You can also link through all your social media on this site as well. If you have a Facebook page, if you have an Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, whatever it might be, you can link those through here. So not only will it feed your website, but it also will feed your presentations that you're creating in MoxiPresent. Once you've changed all the content that you'd like, you want to make sure that you click Save in the upper right corner. Once that loads, your changes are successfully updated. It tells you right there in that little box in the upper right corner. So, and then it's a one-time thing unless anything changes. You don't have to do this step every single time you log in. You just want to make sure that it's current and up to date. So once you've done that, it'll feed your website and it'll feed all the presentations that you're creating in Present. So we're going to go back to Present, and that's in our blue menu bar right here. We're going to click Present. So first I'm going to show you a presentation in its final product so that you can see what we're going to talk about, and then we'll step back and see how to create those. So this is your dashboard. So every time you create a presentation, whether it's a listing presentation, a buyer presentation, or a newsletter, it will save on your dashboard so that you can always get back to it. So a lot of agents like to do test one. You'll see I have a bunch of test ones in here. You can always leave them if you want to get back to them, but you do have an opportunity to delete them right from the three dots on here. If you've never logged into Present, your dashboard, of course, will be blank because you won't have one on there. So to get back to view this one, we're going to go back to those three little dots and we're going to click View and Web Presentation. So Moxie is a web-based tool, but you also have opportunity for print products. If you're looking for a quick flyer, If you're going to a listing presentation and you're just not sure if you're going to have internet, you can print all of the products that you're creating in MoxiPresent to take with you in a PDF form that will then print out to your office printers. But to view this on the web, we'll click Web Presentation. And because this is tied to your MLSs, all of your comparables will always update every single time this link is clicked. So if you create this presentation on a Monday and overnight one of the comparables goes under contract, when your client clicks on it on a Tuesday, it's going to show that that it's been under contract. So it's always going to be live data here on the web version of this. So it'll be branded to you. And then to scroll down, you can see this one has 15 slides. I've moved these slides around a lot, and I'll show you how to do that. So it might not make sense for an actual presentation because it was used for testing, but it gives you a feel of what the product is. So it'll always have your logo DBA. It'll always have your contact information, including your headshot. And then your toggle tools are in the lower right. So you can click the arrows here, or you can use your mouse to scroll. It'll put in information about the house. And again, if it's been listed in the last 3 years, you can pull in that data from the MLS to save on data entry, which is a nice feature as well. So just to scroll through this, you can see it can be interactive. It has beautiful imagery that you've added, or you can pull in from the content library. It gives you pricing stats, which again are based on those comparables that you'll choose. It gives more further information about the house. And again, all of these slides are customizable. If there's a slide you don't like, you just don't use it. If there's additional information you want to add, you can add it in. So you can see it maps our comparables. It gives more data about the comparables. And again, those will always be live based on when you click that link. Here's some information from the brand that we pulled in. And just further information about marketing, about demographics, the buyer profile. It'll plot these out if you choose to. Again, if you don't like this slide, you just can choose to not have it on your presentation. And again, this is a seller presentation that I'm showing you, but we do have the opportunities to have buyer presentations and non-property presentations. So this last slide here is what I wanted to show you and why we updated our account first. Headshots coming over, that bio is coming over, and your contact information is coming over. So that's why you do want to make sure you update your account prior to creating your presentation so you have your updated information in there. So I just clicked out of that tab because when you go to view these, it does create an additional tab on your screen. And we're back here to My Presentations. When you're new and wanting to start a new presentation from scratch, you click on Create New. It does take you through a widget. It'll walk you through it so you can choose. Are you creating a buyer presentation, a seller presentation, a buyer tour, or a non-listing? So the buyer tour is nice. Maybe you're taking a new client out to see 3, 4, 5 properties on a Saturday. You can create a buyer tour of those properties. And again, that data comes over from your MLS, so you're not data entering it. And you have something to provide the client ahead of time so they can review that before you actually spend the day with them. Or you can send it to them after so it can kind of trip their memory of which property they liked best. So that buyer tour there is a nice feature. And then non-listing is you can create interactive newsletters or other marketing pieces. And again, if you're using the web-based portion, you can include video, you can include blog content, images, links out to other websites, whatever you want to do for non-listing. And if you join MoxiPresent 201, which will be hosted tomorrow, they'll give you further information on that customization. But we are going to talk about a CMA, a competitive market analysis today, and that's going to be our seller presentation right here. So you click the radio button and click continue. You do have a default template underneath the brokerage. You can create no template, which would add all the slides for yourselves. And then as we go through this, I'll show you how you can save the changes as your own template. So when you start, you always have the slides in the way that you want them, not only in the order, but the particular slides that you want to see. But you can default to the brokerage templates. It's 12 pages long. If you want to see what any of your available templates look like, when you click on pages, it's going to load the name of those pages to let you know what's included in that presentation. So once you choose the template or not template that you want, you click continue. Prepared for will not only show up here on your dashboard to remind you, it's also going to show up on the consumer product once you send it to them. So you do want to make sure that you have it as consumer-friendly information here. So it could be Mr. and Mrs. Home Seller, it could be the estate of somebody, it can be whatever you choose it to be. Your MLS should automatically come over because that information was added for you by the staff in your region. If not, though, just reach out and we'll make sure that we add your MLS agent ID into your account so that you have access to it. If you're in some regions where you have more than one MLS, you can choose to toggle back and forth. So if you want to pull comps from a separate MLS and you have an agent ID, we can get that set up so you have that opportunity. What you can't do is pull comps from one MLS in one presentation and add comps from a different MLS in that same presentation. You do have to choose one MLS per presentation for comps. You can always add in modified comps that you yourself add in if you choose to. So we're just going to leave it to the default here. And then just like we have with our blue books, which is our residential listing presentation, and our black books, which is our global luxury presentation books, you have that same option here in Moxie. Classic will leave you with your Coldwell Banker DBA blue logo. If you choose luxury, it's going to pull over the global luxury logo, change the coloring from blue to black, and have that luxurious feeling in your presentation. So that is a newer feature that we're pretty proud of because it's really nice when you're going on a global luxury presentation to have that option. So that is the difference between classic and luxury. It does default to classic, so if you're leaving it as such, there's no action needed there. And then once you have that filled out, you click create. Once that sits and spins, it's going to pull over yet another widget that will walk you through these steps. There are always 5 steps, which you can see at the top, when you are creating a MoxiPresent CMA seller presentation, these 5 steps here. You can see your prepared for, which you put it on the other screen, comes over here. And then this is going to be your subject property, which is what it says right here. Because it is tied to your MLS, if this property has been entered into the MLS at any point in the last 3 years, it will come across. So you can put in the MLS number of that previous property in order to pull that data in. So we'll put that there and then click copy. It's going to search the MLS and find that property. This particular property is here in Traverse City, and I knew it had beautiful imagery, which is why I wanted to show you that, because while we're trading, you might as well look at something pretty, right? So you can see it did pull in the image. Now, if it wasn't your brokerage listing or if it was not your listing, you do want to make sure you have rights to using their photography. And if not, you can click browse and upload your own photography into this property. But then it pulls over things like the location, the property type, your bill. All of this data is coming over from the MLS so that you don't have to data entry it. It does also pull over the remarks. So of course, if those aren't your words and you're going for listing presentation, you can always update that. And it does give you that character count so that you're well aware that you're staying in the parameters. It will pull over the price as it's currently in the MLS. So if it's sold or expired, it will show up here, but you can always clear that information out as well. Your toggle to get through the navigation is in 2 places. So when we scroll to the bottom of the screen, you can click continue, or if you want to jump around at the top, all of these 5 steps are clickable. So you can click to your next step, which is search if you choose to. We'll click continue at the bottom, and this is going to bring us to our comparable page. So there are a lot of different ways to search. You can search by location, you can search by MLS number, you can search from the map. You also have the opportunity to choose filters. It will put in default filters for you based on the subject property. So like this one, since it doesn't have any comparables, this is a very unique property, as you could tell from that picture and that sales price. So what I'm going to do is just back that data out. I'm going to want to choose comparables within Traverse City, and I'm going to change my filters so that we can get in more comparables here. Now you can see where the comparables are coming over. It is always color coded, and the color coding stays through all the way to the end product. Sold is red, canceled or withdrawn is in gray, active is green, and pending will be that gold yellow color. So you can see they also correlate on the map. Now, if you're looking for comparables in a very specific geographic area, you can draw on this map. So if you click draw right here, quick draw, say you want just around this lake here. If you draw on the map, only comparables that are in that border will show up then on your list to choose from. So you can get very granular in your search. Back to filters, you can see you can choose things like condo, single family, if you're doing a land, multifamily. If you don't want to see off-market properties, you can choose to uncheck those as well so that they're not showing up in your search features. So you can get pretty granular. It's not going to be as granular as you can get in your specific MLSs for comparables, but it does get pretty granular on the data provided by the MLS. So from here, you can choose to include all. Say that all of these on the map look pretty darn good to you and you want to include them all on your comparables. You can choose, oops, let me slide back up, include all, and you can see it check boxes them. You can also exclude all, and then it'll uncheck them, and you can individually click on the photo in order to pull in those comps. So different opportunities there to pull in your comps. Once you have that the way that you want it to look for your comparables, you again can click up here or click continue. Once those comps that we chose show up, you have further information that you can adjust. You can add a custom listing. So if there is a comparable that you're aware of that's not necessarily coming in from the MLS, you can add that by clicking add custom listing, and then you just data entry the information about that property. If you want to adjust, say this comparable has a pool, the subject property doesn't, so you want to adjust what that sales price was to reflect that to the seller so that you really are sharing with them the why behind the pricing. You can do that here by clicking add adjustment. So you can do things like pool, and then you can plus or minus that amount. So say you want to take away $5,000 from that price, that suggested price, you click save. You can do the same thing by adding additional dollars. So maybe it has a really beautiful fenced yard, so you want to add, and so you just do that plus sign and the dollar amount and click save. And that will adjust what the price is. So you can see the list price there because this particular one's active, and the adjusted price there will show. So you do have the opportunity to further customize your comparables by adjusting those prices. And you can always see that color coding stays through, and you can change this order. So maybe you want the solds to show up first. If you click the pencil there, you can change how your comparables will show on that final product. Once you order them the way you want them, you just want to make sure that you click save. So again, if you wanted to scroll to the bottom and click continue, you can do so. Or you can come up here and click estimate. So we are in the estimate tab, and there are two tabs. They're estimated pricing and estimated net proceeds. You can see that based on the comparables that you chose, it does give you an estimated market value, but this is always customizable. You can put in whatever dollar amount you choose to there, or you can click to create a range. So maybe you want a 5% range. Maybe you want to show them if they want to sell it faster, maybe you show them 5% less. If they want to have it sit on the market a little bit longer, maybe you go a little bit higher. So you can calculate based on that percentage, or you can put in a custom range as well and click apply. And then that will show up on your estimated pricing in the final product. Your estimated net proceeds is just what it sounds like. So you have the opportunity to put this in your seller's presentation if you choose to as well. You can put in the estimated seller's price, what their mortgage payoffs might be, your brokerage fees, settlement costs, and this will create a slide for you in the presentation that will show these numbers. Click continue. And this is where you can get to the slides that you actually want to include in this presentation. So our numbers up here on our 5 steps do mean something. This means we have 33 listing comparables in the product, and we currently are sitting at 12 pages, which was our template that we pulled in. And you can see that these slides here will correlate with how your presentation looks when you launch that live. So for further customization, if you don't want to have any of these slides in here, you can choose to click the remove. So say you didn't really fill out the net proceeds sheet, so you don't want to include that into your final presentation, you click the X to remove it. It will go ahead and remove it. Say you like to talk about yourself first before you even get into anything about the property. You can drop and drag these into the order of which you want to cover with your seller. So we all have our own cadence of how we like to present information. You can customize these so that it works for you. Now further to this, because this was a template, we have a lot more content that we can pull in if you choose to. And we do that by clicking Add Page. You can create new, which we'll talk about in MoxiPresent 201 when we dig in a little bit deeper into the customization of those slides, or you can click Add from Library. So we have the options of a lot of different content we can pull in. So all of our brokerage pages are information from our blue books and black books. So if you're using those listing presentations either physically with the copy that you purchased from the marketplace, or if you're using them digitally via our links, all of that same content will show up and allow you to pull it into your MoxiPresent presentation. So for example, if we click on black books, you can pull information about our story. Maybe you want to talk a little bit about the Schmidt family of companies and how your brokerage fits in with that. So you can click Add. It will tell you the last time that information was created or updated, so you'll know if it's the newest version or not. You can also from here print. So if you're looking for a quick flyer, if you're looking for quick information, you can click print on any of these and it'll create it in a vertical copy that will then let you save it as a PDF and print that over. So digitally, these presentations are all horizontal, but anytime you go into a print option, the system does recreate them in a portrait format so that you can print those and put them into a portfolio or whatever it may be that you want. Further to the information added by the marketing group, we also have information added by our Coldwell Banker brand. So over here you can see we have seller pages. They do have vertical and horizontal options, so it will format it based on the options that you choose here. On the other form, it reformats it for you. Here, if you're doing it digitally, you will want to make sure you pull in those horizontal pages. Then there's information on if you're creating a buyer profile or buyer presentation as well. And then there is great luxury content here. So if we want to pull in some seller pages, we'll click on that. Don't let the CBA confuse you. That just stands for Coldwell Banker Affiliates, which is what we are here, whether you're in Michigan, Ohio, Florida, or USVI. We are Coldwell Banker Affiliates. So that's what the CBA stands for. So from here, if you want to pull in buyer profile, you can click Add. Maybe you want to talk a little bit about pricing right, so you can click Add there. So all of these different slides, all of this content can be added into your presentation. So you can see we went from 12 pages down to 11 because we deleted our net proceeds, but then we just added in 3 more pages, so we're at 14. So it's always going to show you that. If you want to get back to where you can order the pages that you've entered into your presentation, you can click right on pages at the top, and it's pulling in all of that information. So we pulled in our story, our buyer profile, and pricing right. But again, you can drop and drag these in any order that you want, so that the cadence of you presenting this will be in the same cadence as your presentation. If you come to here and you really like this, you're happy with all the slides, you're happy with all the content that you pulled in, this is where you can click to save it as a template for yourself so that you can use it in for future different properties that you go for CMAs on. So when you click Save as Template, it lets you name it, and then you choose whether it was a buyer, seller, buyer tour, or non-listing, and then you can add that as a template so you can then use it in the future, and you don't have to go through those added steps of pulling in slides or deleting slides. It'll always be set up in that order for you. Once you put in your custom title, you click Save, and it'll be available to you when you click on New Presentation and you go to your templates, which I'll show you here in a minute. So let's view all the work that we just did. So just like when we got to the view option from our dashboard, when you're inside that presentation, you can view it. Again, 2 options, web or portrait. We're going to choose web. It always does take a moment to load, and that's because it is that live data from your MLS. So it's looking to make sure that there have been no changes since the last time it was loaded. So that's why it always does take a little bit of time. So here's our cover page, which is the first page in our template. Again, it has the name that you named it. We'll pull in the address, and this date will always be updated to the day that the consumer is opening it. So maybe you have some additional time because you're sitting floor in the office, so you create a presentation on a Monday, but you planned on sending it to them on Thursday. It's going to have Thursday's date on it when they open it. Again, always brand it to you with your headshot and your DBA, and then you can toggle through with the arrows here, or you can use your mouse to scroll through. So I did take the agent profile and I did move it up to the second, so that's why this is showing here. The template always has it at last, but again, you can customize the order of these to what you choose that you want. At the top, it'll always show you on what page of the presentation you're in, and the name of that slide will show up. So as I scroll, this was the page about our story. So our story history, page 3, if you go back to the actual present portal, you'll see right here, page 3 is our story. So as you're previewing these and you want to make sure that it looks the way you do, if you're like, oh, I don't know why I pulled that slide in, I don't want that, you can come back to here, find that slide based on the order it's in, and remove it. You can also choose to drop and drag these at any time. So say you want to put that agent profile back to last, you can do it there, and then it'll save for you. Sorry, I have something wanting to update. Let me get rid of that. There we go. Now when I go back to my link, those changes are not going to reflect because it has already loaded. But if we close out of there, go back to view and web, it will now reflect those changes. Again, it takes just a few moments to load. And now it's going to be the updated version. So you'll see now the second page, instead of my bio, is going to be the property summary, which when we flip back to here shows right there as is in fact the second one. So again, just to flip through these, it pulled in all of this data from the MLS because we chose it to. Obviously, if you're going on a listing presentation that's not in the MLS, you just data entry all of that information as much as you want. Our listing location map will list all of our comparables, again keeping that color coding. Green as active, red as sold, gold as pending. The listing overview, again with the same information, and we pulled in a lot of comparables, so let me keep scrolling. And then again, side-by-side comparisons. So if you think 3 pages of comparables is just too much, you can go ahead and get rid of those slides and just delete them out of your presentation so that they don't show up in the final product. This is the data we pulled in from the content the brand provided, along with our pricing right slide. And then again, it gives us our status comparisons. All of these slides can be changed, added, deleted, whatever it is that you want. So just to scroll through quickly, the pricing analysis is where it put that range. So on our listing here, when we were in our estimate, that's the range that we chose. So that's what showed up there. And again, it's going to talk through all of that information based on the comparables. And then there's the bio that we pulled in at the end. You can choose to send this to your client right from here by clicking send, starting to type their name, and then that contact will pull in theory, that contact will pull in from your Moxie Engage. I have different testing accounts, so I'm not quite sure why that's not pulling in. But as you start to type your client's name, their information should pull into here. You can give it a subject. You can choose to send both the presentation and a PDF if you want, or just the presentation, which will look just like the one that we viewed. We'll just type something in so that we can. There we go. And then you can choose to have a greeting or not. If you do, You can enter whatever data you want. Also with the message. Always you can send a copy to yourself, but you know you can get back to your dashboard if you choose to always review this as well. So you can uncheck that if you want. The default is to check it. And then click send. That's going to send over to your client. It gives you information at the bottom there that it did in fact send. So again, if you're here at this point and you're like, wow, that count just doesn't make sense, I don't know what I was thinking, you can always go back to your listings page and change these at any given time. You're never set in stone. This is always going to be customizable. Same with if you want to change it to luxury. So say, oh, this, that's hovering around that luxury line. Maybe I do want to do a luxury presentation. You can always choose to do that at this point as well. And then click save. Just like everything else in Moxie, when you see 3 little dots, it means there's more opportunity here. So you can share this presentation to others in your office or to other specific agents. So maybe you want an agent to have a glimpse of this listing before you even go to the listing presentation. You can send that to them right from inside MoxiPresent. You can also assign to another agent. So if you are working with another agent and you are creating this for them on the front end, but then you're going to turn it over to them, you can do that here. This is also an opportunity that our staff has. So if our staff is getting a presentation created for you, they can assign it over to you for you then to view on your dashboard. And you can add a co-presenter. So if you're going up with another broker in your office for a listing opportunity, you can add them here just by putting in their name, clicking search, and then you can choose to add them so that they also can go in and edit this presentation. They'll have it on their dashboard along with you keeping it on your dashboard as well. So all of those options are found under more. To go back to our dashboard, you can either click home or present at the top, and it's going to take you back to your dashboard. Because on my view feature, it's sort by recently updated, it's going to put it right here front and center as the first presentation. You can change this so that your sort by is date created or by the title, at which point it puts it in alphabetical order by title. So you have a couple of options there if you want to sort and view those by a different option. You can also choose to just see sellers, just see buyer, buyer tour, or non-listing presentations. So as you build these out, you can imagine your dashboard's going to get quite robust. This allows you to change how you can find the different ones. It also allows you to search. So this particular one was done for the BS. So if you type in their name, it'll come up. If it is a listing presentation, a seller presentation, if you put in the address, it will also show up as well. So a couple different ways to search for these. You have the opportunity to archive. Oops, sorry about that. Click the 3 little dots. You have the opportunity to delete or archive them. So if you want to get back to it maybe at a future date, you can click archive. If you really, it's truly a test and you never want to see it again, you can click delete. So along with being able to set up the template like we showed you on the last screen of the last page, you can also duplicate these. So maybe you forgot, you didn't save it as a template, but you really liked it. You went on the listing presentation, the flow felt great, you got the listing, you're super excited. You can come in here and duplicate these. So it'll duplicate all of the content. You can then go in and change that subject property and then change your comparables as well. So you do have that opportunity here. And just like when we were actually inside the presentation, you do have the opportunity to assign these here, add a co-presenter as well. You can also always get back to your settings from those 3 little dots. The pencil is going to be your edit. So just like when we started and we were in our account, the pencil does mean edit. So you can do edit that there. And then when you hover over the little clock, it pulls up information about that particular presentation. It tells you when it was created, when it was last updated, if you have assigned a co-presenter, who's the last one that updated it, and if it's a classic or luxury. So hovering over your little clock there gives you that opportunity. Again, if you click the pencil, it's going to take you right back to those 5 steps here that allow you to always go back in and change, move, rearrange whenever you want to. And your home or your present button is what gets you back to your present dashboard. One second, I'm just checking my notes here. Okay, so just take a step back quickly. We're going to go to Create New. That's what allowed us to choose our options, buyer, seller, buyer tour, or a non-listing, which again is great for newsletters or other marketing pieces. And then it's going to take us through those steps. So to show you what a buyer presentation will look like, we'll choose that option there. Click Continue. You always have the opportunity to choose your template, and from when you drop this down, this is where if you saved it as a template, you can get back to My Templates. I don't have one saved in as the buyers, that's why it's blank, so you can go back to brokerage templates or the templates offered to us by the Coldwell Banker brand. So say that you want to see the content coming to us from the brand. Again, if you click pages, it kind of takes you through what that looks like. So now click Continue. Just like on the seller side, prepare for. Again, if it's one MLS over the other, you always have a primary that it'll default to, but you can change that if you do have more than one, and click Create. On this screen, like you're seeing right now, sometimes it looks like it's not doing anything. Just trust the process. It eventually will come up. It's just pulling in all that content and creating this for you so that you can go through the steps to customize it. So just like on our seller side, you do have your 5 steps up here across the top. 23 pages is what we pulled in from our template, and we haven't chosen any listings just yet. So just like the listing side, if you type in an MLS number, you can click Import, and it's going to pull in that information. We have our drive time, which is optional, so maybe they're concerned about the drive time to work from the property. You can put in that starting location and set location, and then it's going to give them that drive time and show them exactly what that looks like. You can change the imagery if you want, or you can choose to leave it as the one that came over from the MLS. If you click on MLS, it does pull in all the photos, so you can change it to a different cover photo if you choose to. So that did change it to the other one by clicking this MLS button. If you're not real sure if you have rights to the photo because it was a property listed 3 years ago, go ahead and click Browse, and it will let you upload a photo from your system. And then click Continue. This page looks just like it did on the list side. So if you want to show them comparables to the property that they're going to view, you can do so from right here in the exact same way that we did before. You can change it by typing in a different address. You can draw on the map. You can change your filters. And again, it does pull over information from your subject property. So if you don't view anything, immediately go to your filters because it tends to be pretty granular information. So if you open those up a little bit, it's going to give you more options. Same option to include all or exclude all, or just by clicking on the ones you want will pull in. Again, you can click through your options at the top, or you can click Continue from the bottom. Just like on the seller side, you can also add custom listings here as well. If it all looks good, you're not doing adjustments, you can fly right through to the estimate page. And unlike the seller one, which was estimated net proceeds, this is for the buyer side, so it's estimated closing costs. So you can click on there and all of this information can be filled in based on the information that you were provided. And I'm going to put in some information just to have it on the slide to show you what that might look like. Obviously not accurate information. Now on this particular screen, if you are filling in either the net proceeds on the seller side or the closing costs on this side, you do click Save before you click Continue, because that will make sure that the data that you entered does stay in there. So if there is a save and a continue, go ahead and click Save first, then you can continue on. So again, our page count always stays here, our listing count is here, and then these pages are what pulled over from the Coldwell Banker template that we chose. Just like before though, you can delete these if you don't want them by clicking the X next to them, or you can add further pages by clicking Add from Library. Same options that you had, Blue Book, Black Book, and the Coldwell Banker pages as well. Once you have them the way you want them, click Pages, it'll take you back to this screen. Again, you always have the opportunity to view web or view the print, so if you are more of a paper person and you want to provide a printed copy of this, you can do so as well. Clicking on web will launch into that same look that it had before, because again, it's always pulling that current data and will allow you to scroll. So same as on the seller side, the name of that slide shows up at the top and it always keeps the page count here. Again, branded to your DBA with your headshot information there. And then it will let you scroll just like it did prior. And again, all of this content is coming to us from the brand. But if you get here and you're like, well, that just doesn't make sense, I don't like that slide, it's number 3, purchasing process divider, come back here. Number 3, purchasing process, remove, it'll now be gone from the final presentation. Also the same as the seller, you can save this as a template. So if you really liked that order, you're happy with it, you want to use it for future buyers, click Save as Template. This particular one is now a buyer. Name it however you want. Oh. Click Save. It'll then be an option for you to pull that in as a template when creating a new one. When you have more, you can do the same options that you had before, assign to agent, add a co-presenter. Your settings will give you the opportunity to update the name, office, if you are members of more than one office, which isn't really a thing for us. Mine is because it's an administrative account. If you choose not to show your header on your headshot on each page, you can turn that off, but it will be on every single page to brand it to you because it does default to on. And then again, Classic, which is our blue brand, and Luxury, which is our black brand. Click Save. It'll update that, and then when you click View, those changes will, which I did not change it, but those changes would come over with the new link. Now when we go back to our dashboard by either clicking Present or Home, that will now be the first presentation because we are still filtering by recently updated. Again, your options for here, for your 3 little dots, you can view, you can share, you can email it. When you hover over the clock, it tells you the information about when it was last updated and created. And then your pencil allows you to go back in so that you can further edit it. Going back to create new, if we want to go back to buyer and continue. Now when I go to my templates, that custom one that I just did on the last screen will show up in here. Click continue. Lets you do more information, or you can then do the same templated order of your slides, and the number of slides will create it there. Again, trust the process. It doesn't look like it's doing anything, but it is getting all of the data included, and then we'll load. And then we're in a brand new presentation, but when we go to pages, it'll be the exact same pages we had before. So the brand template that we pulled in was 23 pages, but I saved this as my own template, so we now have 20 pages. That is our presentation for today. So what questions do you guys have for me? I don't see any in the chat box, so feel free to type a question or unmute, and I can get those answered for you. Or if I don't know the answer, I'll get you an answer. Any questions at all? Hi. So if you did not save it as a template, but you really liked that presentation, you can duplicate it here, and then it's going to create a brand new presentation in the exact same order, but you may have forgotten to save it as a template. So that's why it allows you to duplicate it. That's also good too if you have a coworker and you see one of their presentations. What they can do is when they share it to you, you can then duplicate that one and have it in the same order that they used as well. You're welcome. Great. Any further questions? Well, be sure to head back to your education calendars. There is MoxiPresent 201 being hosted tomorrow. I believe JD's on the docket for tomorrow, and he will go into further customization where you can create a slide from scratch and pull in videos, images, links to other websites, whatever it might be. So head to your education calendars for that information for tomorrow. But I appreciate your time today. As always, if you have any questions after the fact, feel free to reach out to anybody on the team. Thanks, everyone. Bye now.